Now, on page 3, we're going to read about 0 as a placeholder, and we're going to solve some problems where we have to use 0 as a placeholder while we are adding. Let's read the explanation. Sometimes you will have to add decimal numbers that do not have the same number of decimal digits. I'm going to think about those words I just caught off the page. I know a digit is a number symbol. Decimal number symbols. So number symbols after the decimal point. Sometimes you have to add decimal numbers. So sometimes you have to add numbers that have decimals in them, that have decimal points in them, but those numbers do not have the same number of symbols after the decimal point. So 3 4/10, here's the decimal point, and there's only one digit. There's only one number symbol after that, just 4. That's 4/10. 2 35/100, well, after my decimal point, which is here, I have 2 digits, 3 and 5, and that represents 35/100, because there's a 3 in my 10th place and a 5 in my 100th place. Cool. Now, I've read what they said, and I've looked at the example. I noticed that there's no 0. I noticed that there's a gap there. And hey, visually, I recognize that there's a gap here as well. And visually, there's a gap here also. And so, that's what they're saying. Notice how each time the gap is at the end of the decimal number. The gap is never before or in the middle. That gap is there because these are 4/10, but these are 35/100. Here I have 321 thousandths, but I only have 4/10. Here I have 8 whole units, but I also have 26 hundredths. So that's what this first sentence is talking about. Now it's giving me some more information. Let's read on. To add these numbers, put extra zeros on the right as placeholders until each number shows the same number of decimal digits. Then add. So now it says to add these numbers. To add numbers with the gaps in them. To add numbers where each number does not have the same number of digits after the decimal point. It's telling me what to do. What is it telling you to do? Put extra zeros. That's what it's telling you to do. Put extra zeros on the right. So it's telling me what to do and where to do it at. Put extra zeros on the right as placeholders until each number shows the same number of decimal digits. So remember the unit rule. Before you can add, compare, subtract, each place value unit must match. This number is a tenths number. This number is a hundredths number. When I put in a 0, when I put in an extra 0 on the right, this is now a hundredths number, and this is a hundredths number. Here, I have a thousandths number, a tenths number, and a hundredths number. Oh yeah, this is a hundredths number. And so, there we go. And so before I can add, compare, subtract, each place value unit must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, each place value unit must match. Before I can add, compare, or subtract, each place value unit must match. So, to add these numbers, if you want to add these numbers, you've got to put in those extra zeros on the right. What we're really doing is we're changing the place value units. Now, this is a hundredths number, and this is a hundredths number. This is a thousandths number, and these are thousandths numbers. This is a hundredths number, and this is a hundredths number. This is a thousandths number, and this is a thousandths number. Then add. So once you've done that, you can add. Once your place value units match, you can add. So Here are the examples from the top of the page with the extra zeros. Now you can add. So you can compare up here with here. Our zeros, our extra zeros, are color-coded. Their extra zeros are very bold. So they're just giving you a full example of what you need to do. It says now you can add. So now that you know how to rewrite those numbers, we're on to the next part of page 3.